She was the villain. She was the third person in the marriage. She needed to rehabilitate her image.
Something has been buried for nearly 30 years. It just surfaced. And the person pointing the finger is the last person anyone expected. William has seen the evidence, and he is not staying silent this time. The evidence that changed everything. Some things refuse to stay buried, no matter how deeply they are pushed, no matter how many years pass, no matter how many official inquiries conclude, and how many verdicts are delivered, and how many times the world is told that the full story has been told. Some things keep pushing back up to the surface. Diana's death is one of those things. It has been nearly 30 years since that night in Paris. Nearly 30 years since the world woke up to news that stopped everything, that emptied streets and filled churches and made grown men weep openly in public without embarrassment. Nearly 30 years of official explanations, of inquiries and verdicts and carefully worded conclusions delivered by people in positions of authority who assured the world that every question had been asked and every answer had been found. And yet here we are. Because something has surfaced, something that is not a rumor passed between conspiracy theorists in dark corners of the internet, not a recycled theory dressed in new language to generate clicks and outrage. Something documented, something specific, something that has now reached the hands of people who know exactly what it means and exactly what it changes. New evidence has been leaked, and the name it places at the center of a story the world thought it already understood is a name that will shake everything. Camilla, not as a background figure, not as a peripheral presence in a tragedy that was always understood to be about something else. As someone whose knowledge of events, whose movements in the days and hours surrounding that night, and whose relationship with the forces that shaped what happened in that Paris tunnel raises questions that the official record has never cleanly answered. Those questions are now being asked again, but this time with something behind them that was not there before. And the person who has seen the evidence and drawn his own conclusion is not a journalist, not a documentary filmmaker, not a former intelligence officer with a memoir to sell. It is William, the man who was 15 years old when he lost his mother, the man who walked behind her coffin through the streets of London while the entire world watched and wept. The man who has carried the weight of that loss through every chapter of his public life while maintaining a composure that has sometimes looked, from the outside, like peace. There was never peace, it was patience, and the evidence that has now reached him has done something to that patience that nobody inside the palace was prepared for. Sources close to William describe his reaction to the leaked material as unlike anything they have witnessed from him before. This is a man known for composure, for measured responses, for the kind of deliberate calm that has defined his public presence through years of provocation and pain. What they saw when William reviewed this evidence was not calm. It was certain, cold, settled, absolute certainty. The kind that does not leave room for doubt or qualification, or the careful diplomatic language that royal life normally demands. He has made a declaration, privately, to people he trusts completely, about what he believes the evidence shows and who he believes bears responsibility for what happened to his mother. We will get to exactly what he said, and when we do, nothing about the current state of the royal family will look the same. But first, you need to understand what this evidence actually contains, what specifically has been leaked. Why is it being treated differently from every other claim that has circulated about Diana's death over the past 3 decades? Because the details are the thing, and the details are what make this story impossible to look away from, what the new evidence actually shows. Let us talk about what has actually been leaked, because this is where everything either holds together or falls apart. Claims without substance are noise. Claims with documentation behind them are something else entirely. What has surfaced is not a single document. It is not one letter, one photograph, or one testimony from a single source whose credibility can be questioned and dismissed. It is a collection. Multiple documents covering a specific period, the weeks before Diana's death in August 1997, and the days immediately following it. Documents that have been reviewed by more than one person with the expertise and access to assess what they are looking at. And what they are looking at has shaken every one of them. Let us start with the timeline. The official account of Diana's death has always rested on a specific and relatively simple foundation: a car crash in a Paris tunnel, a driver who had been drinking. a pursuing pack of paparazzi photographers whose relentless chase contributed to the conditions that caused the accident. An inquest held in 2008 returned a verdict of unlawful killing caused by grossly negligent driving and the pursuit by paparazzi vehicles. That was the conclusion, official, documented. Delivered by a jury after months of evidence. But the leaked material challenges something that the inquest never fully examined. Not the crash itself, not the immediate cause of what happened inside that tunnel. What happened before? Specifically, the leaked documents contain what appear to be intercepted communications from the weeks preceding Diana's death. Communications between individuals whose names have never appeared in any official inquiry. Individuals whose connection to the events of that night has never been publicly established. Until now. The communications, according to sources who have reviewed them, suggest that Diana's movements in the summer of 1997 were being monitored, not casually, systematically, by people with access to resources that go beyond what ordinary surveillance would require. Diana was being watched. Her location, her plans, her relationship with Dodi Fayed, her state of mind, her intentions about the future. All of it was being tracked, reported, and discussed in communications that were never meant to be seen by anyone outside a very small and very specific circle. Now, pause here. Because the existence of surveillance around Diana is not, by itself, a revelation. It has long been accepted that various intelligence agencies maintained some level of monitoring around senior royals during that period. The world was a different place. The methods were different. The oversight was different. What makes the leaked communications significant is not that surveillance existed, it is what the communications discuss. Specifically, the documents contain references to concerns about what Diana was planning to do publicly in the months following the summer of 1997. Concerns that go beyond the usual palace anxiety about unflattering press coverage or unauthorized interviews. The concerns referenced in these documents are about something Diana apparently intended to reveal. Something specific. Something that the people monitoring her believed would cause irreversible damage to individuals they were invested in protecting. The documents do not spell out exactly what Diana knew or what she intended to say, but they describe the anxiety around it in language that is detailed enough to make the nature of the threat clear. She had information, and she was preparing to use it. Here is where Camilla's name enters the picture. Among the intercepted communications, according to sources who have reviewed the leaked material, are references to conversations involving someone described in the documents by a designation that royal insiders and intelligence analysts who have examined the material believe refers to Camilla. Not a direct naming. The documents use a designation, a code of the kind that was commonly used in communications of this type during that period. But the designation has been cross-referenced with other material in the collection, with dates, with locations, with references to relationships and contexts that narrow the field of possible identities to one. The conclusion reached by multiple independent analysts who have reviewed the full collection is consistent. The designation refers to Camilla Parker Bowles, and what the communications suggest about her knowledge of the concerns being discussed, about her awareness of what was being monitored and why, goes significantly beyond what has ever been publicly acknowledged. She knew Diana was being watched. More than that, the document suggests she was aware of the specific anxiety around what Diana intended to reveal, that she was part of conversations in which the implications of Diana speaking publicly were discussed. How directly she was involved in what followed is the question the documents raise but do not fully answer. And that unanswered question is exactly what has driven William to the conclusion he has reached. A conclusion he is no longer keeping to himself. That is where we are going next. Camilla's role. What is being alleged? The question has always been there, sitting quietly underneath 30 years of official conclusions and carefully managed public narratives, never fully asked in any formal setting, never seriously pursued by any inquiry with the power to compel honest answers, but always there. What did Camilla know? Not about the crash itself, not about the specific mechanics of what happened inside that Paris tunnel on the night of August 31st, 1997. About everything that led to it, about the surveillance, about the monitoring, about the specific anxiety that the leaked documents describe surrounding what Diana was preparing to reveal. about the conversations in which the implications of Diana speaking publicly were apparently discussed among a small and very deliberate circle of people. What did Camilla know about all of that, and when did she know it? Those two questions are now sitting at the center of the most serious examination of Diana's death that has taken place in years, not inside a courtroom, not inside a formal inquiry with legal authority and subpoena power, inside the palace. The leaked documents paint a specific picture of Camilla's position in the weeks before Diana died. It is not a comfortable picture. And it is not one that can be easily explained away by the people who have spent years managing Camilla's public rehabilitation, from the woman who was blamed for destroying a royal marriage into the woman who sits beside a king. Here is what the documents allege. Camilla was aware that Diana was being monitored, not in an abstract or general sense, specifically aware. The communications that analysts believe refer to Camilla include exchanges in which the monitoring of Diana's movements and intentions is discussed with a familiarity suggesting direct knowledge rather than peripheral awareness. She was not an outsider looking in on a situation she had no connection to. She was in the conversation. The documents also allege something more specific and more troubling, that Camilla was aware of what Diana intended to reveal publicly, that the information Diana was holding, the specific material she was apparently preparing to make public in the months following that summer, was known to Camilla, and that Camilla understood what the consequences of that revelation would be, not for the monarchy in an abstract sense, for specific people. People whose reputations, whose relationships, whose carefully constructed public positions would be fundamentally and permanently damaged by what Diana was preparing to say. Now here is the question the documents raise, but stop short of fully answering. What did Camilla do with that knowledge? This is the gap at the center of everything, the space between knowing something and acting on that knowledge, the distance between being aware that Diana was being monitored and being directly involved in decisions about what that monitoring was intended to achieve. The leaked material does not contain a smoking gun in the traditional sense. There is no document that places Camilla in a room where a decision was made. No communication in which she explicitly instructs anyone to do anything. What there is proximity. Consistent, documented, specific proximity to conversations and communications in which Diana's future was being discussed by people with the means and the motivation to influence it. That proximity is what William has seen. And that proximity is what has driven him to the conclusion he has reached about Camilla's role in what happened to his mother. But the allegations go one layer deeper still. Sources who have reviewed the full collection of leaked documents say there is material suggesting that Camilla's awareness of the situation extended beyond the weeks before Diana's death, into the aftermath. Specifically, there are communications in the collection that date from the days immediately following Diana's death in Paris. Communications that suggest certain individuals, including the person analysts believe to be Camilla, were aware of aspects of the official account that had not yet been made public. Details that should not have been known, not at that stage, not by someone with no official role in the investigation or the management of its immediate aftermath. How those details were known is a question the documents raise with uncomfortable clarity. And it is a question that no one with knowledge of the leaked material has been able to answer without leading directly back to the same disturbing conclusion. Camilla knew more than she had ever said. William believes that now, with a certainty that is reshaping everything, including his relationship with his father. That is exactly where we are going next. William's response. The documents reached William on a Thursday, not through official channels, not through a palace briefing, or a formal intelligence report delivered by someone with the authority to present it in a controlled and managed way. Through someone he trusts completely, someone who has been close to him for years, someone who understood the weight of what they were carrying and made a deliberate choice to put it in William's hands rather than anyone else's. That choice changed everything. Prince William read through the material alone, no advisors in the room, no communications team standing by to help him process what he was seeing and shape his response into something manageable. No one to remind him of the diplomatic considerations or the institutional implications or the careful language that royal life normally requires. Just William and the documents, and 30 years of grief that had never fully found its explanation. Sources close to him describe what followed as a long silence. He did not react immediately. He did not pick up the phone or call anyone into the room. He sat with what he had read for a long time before he spoke to anyone. And when he finally spoke, what he said was not what the people closest to him expected. They expected anger, the kind of controlled fury that William is capable of when something cuts through his composure and reaches the place underneath that he normally keeps completely protected. What they got was something quieter than anger, and something more dangerous than fury. Certainty. William told the person who had brought him the documents that he believed what he had read, that the material was consistent with things he had suspected for years, but had never had the documented foundation to pursue. That the picture the leaked collection painted of Camilla's knowledge and proximity to the events surrounding his mother's death was not something he could look at and find innocent. He used a specific word to describe his conclusion: guilty. Not in the legal sense. William is not a prosecutor. He is not assembling a case for a courtroom. He understands the difference between documented proximity and proven direct involvement. But in the moral sense, in the human sense, in the sense that matters most to a son who lost his mother at 15 years old and has spent nearly 30 years living with the shape of that loss without ever fully understanding its edges. In that sense, William said the word, guilty. Sources say the person in the room with him did not respond immediately. The word sat in the air between them for a moment before anything else was said. Then William asked a question. He asked what it would take to get the documents into the hands of people with the authority to act on them. Not journalists, not documentary filmmakers, people with institutional standing and legal authority. People who could initiate something formal and binding rather than simply generate a news cycle. That question is still being worked through. But the fact that William asked it tells you something important about where his head is. This is not a man processing grief in private and keeping his conclusions to himself. This is a man who has reached a verdict and is now thinking about consequences. And the most immediate consequence is the one sitting inside his own family. Because Camilla is still in the palace, she is still queen consort. She still walks beside Charles at official events, sits across from William at family gatherings, and occupies the physical spaces of an institution that William is preparing to lead. And William now believes she knows what happened to his mother. The effect of that belief on his behavior toward her has been immediate and visible to anyone paying close attention inside palace walls. The civility that William has always maintained toward Camilla in public, carefully, deliberately, at high personal cost, has not disappeared entirely. But something behind it has changed. The warmth that was never quite there, but was at least approximated through years of disciplined royal performance, is gone. What replaced it is something palace insiders describe with a single word: distance. Cold, deliberate, and total distance. And Charles, who sits between his wife and his son and loves them both in his complicated way, has noticed. What it is doing to him is the next part of this story. The palace in crisis. Charles found out on a Friday, not from William directly, not from a formal briefing delivered by a senior advisor with the careful language that difficult conversations inside palace walls usually come wrapped in. From Camilla. She told him herself, which tells you something important about where she stood at that moment. Because going to Charles first was not an act of transparency. It was an act of strategy. Getting to him before William did. Shaping the way he received the information before his son had the chance to present it with his own conclusions already attached. She sat with Charles, and she told him that documents had surfaced, that they were being circulated. William had seen them and had drawn conclusions that she believed were wrong and unfair, and built on material whose origins and authenticity could not be fully verified. She framed it carefully. This is a woman who has spent decades navigating the most complicated personal and institutional dynamics in British public life. She knows how to present a version of events. She knows which words to use and which to leave out, and how to position herself as the reasonable party in a story that is threatening to make her anything but. Charles listened, and then he did something that Camilla had not fully anticipated. He went to William, not to confront him, not to defend her. Not to deliver the kind of paternal instruction that might have worked when William was younger, and the power dynamic between them was different. He went to listen. Sources close to the king describe that conversation between father and son as one of the most painful exchanges the two men have ever had. And these are two people who have had painful exchanges before. who have navigated grief and scandal and public pressure and the specific complicated love of a father and son, who were always destined to want different things from the same institution. This was different from all of those. Because this time, William was not asking for understanding or support or the space to do things his own way. He was presenting his father with a conclusion about the woman Charles chose. The woman Charles fought decades of scandal and public condemnation to place beside him on the throne. The woman Charles loves in the specific and total way that has always defined his relationship with her. William sat across from his father and told him what he believed the documents showed. Charles did not speak for a long time after William finished. When he did speak, what he said was not a defense of Camilla. It was not an attack on William's conclusions. It was not the response of a husband protecting his wife or a king managing an institutional crisis. It was the response of a very old and very tired man who had spent his entire life caught between the people he loved and the institution he served. He told William he needed time. William gave him the weekend. Among the broader circle of senior royals, the reaction to the leaked documents and William's declared conclusion has fractured along lines that were already forming before this crisis arrived. Princess Anne has said very little publicly, but sources close to her describe a private reaction that is consistent with everything Anne has always believed about the Sussex years, about the management of Diana's legacy, and about the people who shaped the circumstances of her sister-in-law's final years. She believes William. She has not said it in those words. Anne is too precise and too careful to make declarations she cannot fully document. But the way she has positioned herself in the days since the documents surfaced, the conversations she has had, the questions she has asked, all of it points in one direction. She believes William. Among palace staff, the atmosphere is almost paralyzed. These are people whose professional lives depend on the stability of the institution they serve, who wake up every morning and perform the quiet, essential work of keeping the monarchy functioning regardless of what is happening in the private rooms above them. Right now, the private rooms above them are in crisis, and the woman at the center of that crisis is still officially the Queen Consort of Great Britain. For how much longer is a question nobody is yet willing to answer out loud, but everyone is asking it. What happens to the truth? The truth about what happened in that Paris tunnel has always had a ceiling, a point beyond which official inquiries did not go. Questions that were asked but not pursued far enough. Conclusions that were reached, delivered, and accepted in the way that official conclusions always are when the alternative is too uncomfortable for the institutions delivering them to fully confront. That ceiling has always been there. The question now is whether what has been leaked is finally strong enough to break through it. Calls for a new inquiry into Diana's death are not new. They surface periodically. Every few years, something emerges, a new claim, a recycled theory, a former intelligence figure with a story to tell. The calls get loud for a moment, and then the moment passes, and the ceiling holds, and everything goes back to the way it was. This feels different, and the reason it feels different is not just the content of the leaked documents, it is who has seen them. It is the conclusion William has reached, the private declaration he has made, and the fact that the heir to the British throne believes his mother's death was not fully what the official record says it was. That changes the weight of everything. You cannot dismiss a conspiracy theory the same way when the person holding it is the future king. When the person demanding answers is the boy who walked behind his mother's coffin at 15 years old and has spent nearly 30 years watching the official version of her death go unchallenged. William's position gives the leaked material a gravity it would not otherwise carry, and the people with the authority to initiate a formal re-examination of the evidence know it. Legal experts consulted by royal correspondents in the days since the documents surfaced have indicated that the material, if authenticated through proper forensic channels, would meet the threshold required to justify a formal review. Not a full public inquiry necessarily, but a serious, documented, legally grounded re-examination of specific aspects of the official account that the leaked material directly challenges. That process is apparently already being explored. Sources close to William have confirmed that his question about getting the documents into the hands of people with institutional authority has not gone unanswered. These conversations are happening, quietly, carefully, with the kind of deliberate pace that suggests people who are serious about where they are going, rather than people generating noise for its own sake. Something formal may be coming. Now look at what that means for Camilla. If a formal review is initiated, if the documents are authenticated and the questions they raise about Camilla's knowledge and proximity to the events surrounding Diana's death are asked in a setting with legal authority behind them, her position becomes untenable. Not immediately. These processes move slowly. They are designed to move slowly. The law does not operate at the pace of a news cycle, and formal inquiries do not reach conclusions in weeks. But the direction of travel matters. A queen consort, who is the subject of a formal legal re-examination into her possible knowledge of events surrounding the death of the previous Princess of Wales, cannot continue to occupy that position with the same authority and legitimacy she currently holds. The palace knows that, Charles knows that, and Camilla, who has navigated every previous challenge to her position with the kind of patient, strategic intelligence that has always been her greatest strength, is now facing something that patience and strategy alone cannot solve. Because the person driving this is William, and William is not going away. He is not going to be managed or reasoned with or persuaded to soften his conclusions through the kind of careful institutional pressure that has historically been used to bring restless royals back into line. He has seen the documents, he has reached his verdict, and he has the patience of a man who understands that the most important things take time. He waited years to act on Harry's title. He will wait as long as it takes for this. Diana has been gone for nearly 30 years. Her son has never stopped looking for the full truth of what happened to her. And for the first time in all of those years, he believes he has found something real enough to act on. Whether the truth finally breaks through the ceiling that has always contained it depends on what happens next. But one thing is certain: William will not stop pushing until it does. Diana deserved the truth in life. She deserves it in death. William has carried that belief in silence for nearly 30 years. The documents change the silence into something else entirely. Whatever comes next, the ceiling that has always contained this story has never been under more pressure than it is right now.